Live stream is recording. Here we go.
I think it's time to go.
From the hills and hollers of southern Indiana to the Lone Star State of Texas, we are the hunters of the paranormal. Truth seekers, mount up.
Welcome back, Truth Seekers. Here we are for another fun-filled adventure with Ghostly Hunter and the Fort Worth Phantom.
How you doing?
Awesome. How you been,
Good,
David?
good, good.
I'm sorry.
Doing great, man. Doing great. Hey, either or, man. Either or.
Either or. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
Well, we're going to try to talk about some cryptids again tonight, and just try to have a good time doing it, and see what we can come up with, and try to shed some light on some stuff that's going on, and try to do the best we can. Try to bring you some good stuff here every now and then, and we're really having a good time doing this, ain't we?
Yes, sir.
I'm loving it.
Yes, sir.
I'm loving it.
Me too.
Would you like to talk about some Puckwudgies here, David? The little creatures of the forest that run around.
Sure.
I take it they even have little bows and supposedly bow and arrows, and wear cloaks and buckskin clothes and the whole 9 yards. The story that I heard about the Puckwudgies, I didn't hear it, I read it, was something about the Native Americans and the Puckwudgies, and they were friends with the Puckwudgies at one time, but somehow things got bad between them, and then basically the Puckwudgies become bad, I guess. So
they had some beef.
They had some beef, yeah. They had some beef with the chief.
Yeah. Maybe it was a land thing,
Could have been. I think it. I'll have to get that story out and read it someday for everybody. There's a place up in around it's called Anderson, Indiana, and the name of the place is Mound State Park, and it has a bunch of Indian mounds in it. And
oh wow,
there's a lot of sightings around the Indian mounds, and they describe them as little cloaked beings. They wear like a little cloak, like a hooded cloak. The ones that they've talked about seeing, that I remember hearing people talk about. They're kind of mischievous, I guess. The Puckwudgies. The appearance wise, I think the appearance kind of varies. I've heard them say that they've got like a dog face, like a little muzzle on them type thing. And then some people described them almost like possum-like, and then with spines, like porcupine spines on their back or running down their back.
Yeah.
Still
creepy.
And I take it there's supposed to be some new supernatural aspects about them. The story I did read, I read a story about one of the park officials in the park. They say that they come around when there are storms. I take it like it's when it's storming out or a storm front's moving in, like we've heard with the Bigfoot type thing.
Interesting. I was gonna say it goes with cryptids as well.
I take it this guy had lost his keys, and it was getting dark, and they knew the storm was coming in, and he thought that maybe he had lost his keys by the Great Mound. So I take it he goes back there, and he gets out of his vehicle, and he's shining his light around, and he's looking, and he sees something shiny like up on great mound. So he decides he's going to go up there and look and see if that's his keys. And he gets up on the top of that mound, and on the top of the mound, I guess there's some kind of an altar made, and it had like deer antlers and this and that. And I think his keys were in that, if I remember right. I could be wrong there, but as he grabs his keys, he takes his flashlight and he shines his flashlight around, and there the Puckwudgies standing around him in a circle around that altar. So then, like, he freaks out and runs to the car and gets out of there. So
yeah,
that's a creepy Puckwudgie story that I've heard from that area. I remember as a kid, I was my mom and them. My mom and dad both worked, so I would come home and let myself in the door. I was probably 10 or 11 years old, and I remember being at home alone when I come home from school one day, and for some reason I got creeped out. I was like somebody was watching me or something. Maybe I was just scaring myself as a kid. But I remember peeking out the window, and it was, I'm going to say 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. And you know how the shadows kind of fall in the evening light. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing this shadow of a little cloaked figure running around the side of the house. And I would catch it. I caught it out the back door, and I seen it like go. I've never told this story to anybody, but I remember seeing it go around the house. And back then I had a little bow and arrow. I had a bear stick bow. I learned how to shoot a stick bow when I was little. And I pulled my stick bow out from underneath the bed and loaded up an arrow on it. And I was ready. I was ready to do battle. I don't know how good I was going to do at 10 years old with a little
ready to try something,
20-pound,
right?
Yeah, little 20-pound bow. I don't know what I was going to do, but I was going to try to do something. And
did you get a good look at it?
I just saw the shadow of it go around the house, and it looked like it was a little cloaked figure going around the house. I never laid eyes directly on it. I never got to see it like the cloaked figure that came to the window at where we used to live. The story I told about that being that was at the window, the little cloaked being that was floating up by the window. But I never did.
You had the feeling of a feeling of uneasiness, and then
you know that feeling of dread that you talk about, David, with the Ouija board that you saw. I had that as a kid, and you know when you're scared as a little kid like that, the being scared as a little kid's a little different than being scared when you're older. It's more of an electrical shock to you when you're little, like your senses and height of awareness.
It's heightened times 100.
Yes.
Those that know about it know, because
yes,
you know what I'm saying. Definitely.
Like I said, I never got to lay eyes on whatever it was. I just saw the shadow of it, but the shadow looked like something small with a cloak, wearing a cloak as it went around the corner of the house. Like, wow, it was weird. But that was when I was probably 10 or 11. I'm guessing.
We're gonna have to find us a Puckwudgie witness. I remember
Puckwudgie eyewitness. I would love to find somebody that was a Puckwudgie eyewitness. That's for sure.
We'll have to get OG Al. Shout out to Al. I remember him talking about seeing some in the woods that, you know, he didn't believe in them, and then all of a sudden he saw them and it made him a believer.
And
I think he said he saw more than one.
You know, the story that one of the things that it makes you really think is somebody told me one time, they said, you know, how big Bigfoot is, like 9-10 feet and even taller. Some people say they're even bigger ones than that. But they told me, they said, as big as those things are, if they can hide as good as they can hide away from people and not be found, then he said, could you imagine how a small person could hide from you?
Exactly.
Even better, even better.
Oh yeah.
So, David,
And who's to know if they can climb trees and can't even be seen way up there?
yeah, or maybe they are, they can cloak themselves and shapeshift or just anything.
Makes you wonder.
Do you know of any encounters of Puckwudgies or
I
anything
have
like
not.
that, David?
No, sir, I have not.
Other than Al Santoriga,
Yeah. Mr.
Big
Al
Al.
Santoriga was shout out again, Al. Yeah, I remember him talking about it on the show that he had witnessed it, and I think they were there ghost hunting and just happened to come across the two or three little people running across. I think he said, and couldn't have been more than a foot tall. I think.
I
But I
saw
don't I don't remember the clothing or anything like that or cloaked. I'm not sure. I'd have to ask him again.
I watched a video of some people doing an investigation at Mound State Park. It's on YouTube if you can find it. Probably find it on DuckDuckGo. But anyway, they did EVPs, David, at the Mound State Park, and they were talking to the woods like they were talking to the Puckwudgies, and they said something about something to the Puckwudgies, and the response that came back was, "We're already dead."
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, we're already dead.
Wow!
Yeah,
Like
I thought
like
that
like
was
uh
that was
like
creepy, man. And I
message
thought, well,
received. I would have already been
yeah,
gone.
oops. Oh yeah, burning tires getting out of that parking lot.
Right?
There is a website that people would probably find interesting. It's called Sky Ships Over Cachers. And this lady that runs the website, she writes a lot of the articles and stuff. She has wrote a book about the Cherokee Little People. I think it's in
Oh,
North Carolina, Cherokee, North Carolina. But there's a place there. I guess it's called Cachers, North Carolina, and the name of the website is Sky Ships Over Cachers. If you ever look it up, that's how you find all that information. She's got stuff about Bigfoot, little people, UFOs, all kinds of stuff. Even underground facilities. She's got stories about that on there. She the one story
interesting.
about the Cherokee Little People was that there was a university there. I take it somewhere, and they were digging in foundation out for this place, and they hit a tunnel system that like a little 3.5 or 4 foot tall tunnel system that went through the ground, and they followed it. I don't know if they crawled through it or sent something through it, but where it came out at was in an Indian burial mound inside the burial mound. And they ended up finding a little skeleton or whatever, and of the Cherokee Little People. And I guess the Indians called them the Moon. They called them the Moon People because when they first found the land, or came into that area, the Indians, when they migrated into that area, they kept finding these little pristine little gardens that were growing, and they were like looking at these little gardens and thinking, well, who's made this? And so they would stake people out to watch those gardens, and the little Cherokee Little People would only come out at night, and they work the gardens in the night in the moonlight, so they called them the Moon People. So
Hmm.
I thought that was kind
Yeah,
of a interesting story, but that story and others can be found on that Sky Ships Over Cachers.
that is
um,
very interesting. Yeah, I got the link. I got the name. I'm gonna have to check that out.
yeah, you're gonna like that. You're really gonna like that website. I really liked it. I'd like to get that lady on the show because she had pictures of little footprints that people had found like in near a riverbed or like a old dried up pond or something. And
Wow.
yeah, and this guy, that old man that was working on that university, he was telling her, yeah, they were real, and they found the skeletons of them and all kinds of stuff. But it was like with everything else, they probably covered it up,
Oh
just like
yeah.
the
Oh yeah.
giants, just like the
Well,
giants.
that's funny you mentioned the Giants. When I lived at another apartment complex, I did maintenance there, and my neighbor served in Afghanistan, right?
Right.
I forgot how many tours he did, but anyway, one night we got to talking, and I was talking to him about cryptids and stuff, and the subject, the Kandahar giant, was brought up by I brought it up, and the first things out of his mouth were to not to ever talk about that again, and please change the subject. I was like, wow, okay. So I did. I didn't. I wasn't about to argue with a Marine, but I
I
thought that
wonder
was interesting.
why. I wonder why
I,
that.
I don't know. He had some drinks and had some issues, a lot of PTSD. But as soon as I brought up the Kandahar Giant, he like, man, do not talk
Well,
about
it's
that. And
probably.
he said
Yeah.
it in the most stern but polite way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I thought
He
that was interesting
probably
too.
just the word Kandahar would be enough to give him a little
Yeah,
PTSD.
I didn't think about that. I just thought it was
Yeah.
strange mentioning it. It was like almost something it was he knew about, and it was top secret already, maybe, or I don't know. I don't know.
Did you kind of take it that he?
I took it as like he knew exactly what it was, and I shouldn't be talking about it, and I shouldn't to talk about it to other people. But basically, he was
I
because
mean,
he was basically like, look, please do not talk about that ever again, and let's change the subject. I was like, well, all right then. So I did.
well, there you
And he was,
go.
but he was a good guy. Just had some issues. There's
Yeah, they a lot of them
a,
that have
a
went.
lot of a lot of people just won't. A lot of people too think about it, Lee. Just don't want to talk about certain things like the Native Americans. They don't like to talk about the Skinwalker.
Well,
They don't like to mention it. They don't like to think about it. They don't like
well,
to,
it's if it's
or is it
anything like
or is it the Wendigo? One of them, they don't even like to mention the name.
it's Skinwalker.
Okay,
I
I thought
take it
so.
it's the Skinwalker.
I thought so too.
Yeah. Um, those little people, that Cherokee little people, man, I think that's fascinating, especially when they talk about the fairy rings, and they talk about like in Iceland, they talk about the fairies, like the fairy rings, and how the little people that live in the rocks. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Like they say they live in the boulders, like in the rocks and stuff.
Mm-mm.
And
I
they
could
were
only
going to put a
imagine.
I
Mm.
think that story was on Skyships Over Casters also, but they talked about how they were going to build a road or something in Iceland, and it was going to go right through the little people territory. And the locals told them, they said, don't go in there messing with them because bad things will happen if you mess around with them. And I take it like their equipment would, like, they'd go back to get in their equipment, and it would be tore up, like it wouldn't run, it wouldn't do anything, like, just so they had basically abandoned the project, I guess, wherever this was at specifically. And I'd seen different things where the guy, like, they were interviewing, and he said, they asked if the little people were real, and he said yes, they are real. And they would take them up into the mountains or around the rocky areas at night, and you could see little lights appear. You know how, like, we have like the Marfa lights and the different lights
Hmm.
like that. And he said, there's the little people right there. That's what they considered the little people, or
Wow.
proof of the little people to them were those lights that were in the mountains. A lot of this
Man.
all revolves around mountains, and
Eh,
like it all. And
isn't that strange?
I think that a lot of it revolves around the natural resources, because we have a lot of coal here in Indiana, and we have a lot of limestone here in
Here too.
Indiana.
Here
And
too.
I worked with a lady. She was my boss, and she told me a story about when she was younger, that they lived by a coal mine, and she said she would see these UFOs come in at night over the coal mine.
Wow.
And she said it was almost like they were scanning the ground looking. I wonder if, like, we're not supposed to be messing with that, because my dad, he used to tell me that hold on here, David, give me just a second. He used to tell me, he said, like, if they suck oil out of the ground, or they take out coal out of the ground, that's making a void basically underground.
Sure is.
So, and that could cause things to collapse in later on or whatever. Maybe that was kind of his concern. Like they're sucking the oil out of the ground. Is that going to make big caverns to where things are going to implode and fall in on themselves one of these days? Which totally makes sense. I mean,
it sure does.
But I kind of think maybe these areas where all these resources and these minerals and different things like coal and gold and silver and different areas like that is they're being monitored. They're being monitored by these, I don't know if it's extraterrestrials or extra dimensionals or what, but yeah.
Yeah, the whole limestone theory I told you about was brought up by Paul and Kurt. Shout out to you guys, good buddies of mine. And I looked it up. I just wanted to see if there was limestone in the area. And man, right where the tree line and the creek is, nothing but limestone, and a big part of Texas too. So it just makes me wonder, if there's a connection to it, because like you said, there's a lot of it in the mountains too. A lot of caves, a lot of lights are seen, orbs, all associated, UFOs, cryptids, everything.
Have you ever heard of earth lights? What's called earth lights? Where it's where like the tectonic plates will shift or grind back and forth and it'll cause a light. You know what I'm talking about? When I saw those orange spheres, those balls, they look like fire. It looked like fire in the sky. I mean, that's a perfect way to describe them.
Are you talking about that TikTok video?
No, I'm talking about down where I used to live.
Okay, the ones you saw. Okay,
right.
Gotcha.
And there's a big ridge down there, like when you're coming up out of south of Indianapolis. Once you come out of Spencer and you start heading towards Worthington, there's a big hill there, and they called it Greene County Hill. Well, that's where that Greene County Hill is. There was you ever drove along the highway and it looks like just sheer rock walls? You know what I'm talking about, coming down on where they've cut the roads through.
Oh, yeah.
There's areas kind of like that there.
There's not too many places like that here, but we have a few
where there's big rocks and
there's actually signs that say watch for falling boulders,
falling rocks.
It's actually pretty scary.
Yeah, and a lot of those there's a lot of that right there where Worthington and that area is where I had those sightings, and the sightings were always in the direction of that where that big ridge with the rock and limestone, I presume it was at. And I always thought, well, maybe that's just those lights. I'm seeing those lights because maybe the earth is just kind of grinds back and forth there and creates those earth lights. And I don't know if that's part of the phenomenon of it or whatever, but I know that the characteristics of these lights were very unusual. Like they would go inside of each other and become one. They would come out of each other. They would go out. It looked like they, just turn the light out or whatever. And then a few seconds later, it would flicker like a little flame starting up. It'd flicker, and then it would just appear, say to the south of its position or to the north. And then it might make like a pyramid shape, or it might make like a boomerang shape. And it made all kinds of different shapes, these lights. Wow. And we're talking 4, 5, 6, 7 lights at a time.
Definitely not nothing the earth is causing.
And they were orange. These lights were orange, like a little mini suns is what I thought of them when I'd seen them. They were orange looking. Wow. And I say spheres, but I don't know if they were spherical or not. I wasn't close enough to see if they were, but they weren't. They were not flares, because flares don't go up; they come down.
Right.
They could drift on current if they was wind current if they were up high enough. I would guess. But are these the vehicles that these cryptids are coming in on? maybe these lights appear because these are areas where portals open up. Maybe
Leah, that has crossed my mind too.
And the weird thing of it is where we saw the most activity of these lights is where I had my first encounters with the eyes in the woods. when I was deer hunting.
Oh,
and
wow.
I often thought, well, that was maybe something that came off of one of those spheres or whatever, or the fire in the sky.
A lot of people have had sightings and then afterwards see the craft. So it makes you wonder.
And another thing about these cryptids and the experiences people have with them is sometimes there's a weather change, like bad weather pop up, or there'll be a lightning storm and people will see these things. You know what I mean? And I've got a guy that's going to be on here at some point that had an encounter in Florida, and he said it started lightning, and when the lightning flashed, he could see this. Him and his buddies saw it standing by a tree, and he said it was the biggest. He said it was big. It was the biggest person or thing that they had ever seen. But
Wow.
when I found the little footprint, the day that I found that little footprint, the weather changed for just a second. Like the wind whipped up real heavy and the clouds got dark, like it was getting ready to rain. And it had been a nice, pretty decent day before that. And I could hear limbs and trees breaking, going away from me. And then just as quick as the bad weather came, it went away. So
almost like a bluff charge.
Well, it was almost like like the atmosphere changed, like there was an energy, like an energy change. I'm not going to say.
Wow.
I want to say it could have happened because a portal opened up and these things went in it and disappeared to get away. That's what I want. That's the feeling that I get from why the weather changed for just a second. Like it changed so much that the tops of these big, huge, giant pine trees were whipping around, like they were going around. Like,
and then all of a sudden went back to normal, like it was.
Yeah,
before.
and then it went back to normal.
Wow.
Yeah, but the way
that's odd.
Where the weather came in at though was where these things ran to. I could hear them running back over in that direction, and then the wind whipped up and the trees whipped around, and then it just went. Then the weather went right back to normal.
See, we were talking about that the other day. How these creatures follow power lines and stuff. What if they're somehow drawn to electricity and that kind of who knows? Who knows? Nobody knows.
That area where I found that footprint be to the it would be to the south. It would be to the south of that position where I was at, and I found the footprint and all that took place. Would be there's a big power line that goes through. It's one of them great big ones where they just like bulldoze the trees out, like 100 yards across to put up great big power lines. And it's like a freaking highway through there on the side of a hill, and then it goes for miles. That power line goes for miles.
Yeah, I've heard that. Makes you wonder.
Oh yeah, it sure does.
It also makes me wonder if UFOs can harness any kind of energy from, our electricity or our storms, or we were talking about that too the other night.
Well, they say that Bob Lazar and them talked about them having reactors on those ships or UFOs or whatever. So that tells you if they have reactors on there, then they have their own power supply, or I would assume that they would have their own power supply. I mean, maybe they have to kickstart them, or maybe they can charge them.
Yeah, a lot of people
power lines or electric storms, like you talked about.
Yeah, a lot of people try to put Bob down, but I've always believed in that gentleman.
Well, I probably shouldn't talk about it.
I mean, but I know he was high up there, and he had to stay quiet too, though. I heard anyway.
Have you seen the videos of the big cube-shaped object that was over the Kremlin and spotted in different areas?
Yeah, that's what they actually call it, the cube.
Yes, I wonder what that thing is. I wonder what that is.
I don't know. I totally forgot about that one.
Yeah. There's been diamond-shaped ones too, or pyramid, diamond-shaped objects like that spotted over time.
Did you see the blue one in Hawaii about a year ago that dove into the water? It happened at night, and this lady pulled over, filmed it, and it was long and blue, like a stick. And then and it just
I don't
man.
think I see.
Oh, I got to send you that link. This
I did
happened
see.
recently.
I did.
It was on CNN and everything. It made the counterfeit news. But the lady pulled over, called 911 and everything, and then it shows people filming it on their cell phone. Man, and that thing just shot right into the ocean, disappeared.
Did you see the footage?
It was awesome to see it do that.
Did you see the footage where the jets are chasing the UFO? And the guys are videoing it off of the like a fishing boat out in the ocean, and the thing it comes zipping down, and then it shoots in the water, and then the jets go over it.
Yes, and they're all freaking out.
Yeah, it looked like it was real footage to me. I don't know how real it was,
I think it was because of their reactions.
Yes,
I always think that's an important part, and that's the way I would be reacting. I like what? Like, did that just freaking happen? It was. And is that the one? Is that the one you're talking about with? Have you seen the one where they're on a boat? It's a bigger boat in the ocean, and they're being followed by all the orange orbs.
I haven't seen. I saw one where they were filming the orange orbs off the boat.
There's like probably 7 or 8 of them chasing them.
It's off in the distance. The orange orbs.
Yes.
That's what the things look like that I saw.
Oh, there you go.
That's what they looked like. And then
they did look like suns. You're right.
Yeah, little mini suns is about the best way I could describe it, because they were orange, like orange in color.
Yeah, the guy filming had no. He was like, "Here they are. I'm out here in the ocean, and look what's behind us." 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's not making any. He's not beating around the bush about nothing. And that's an interesting clip as well.
What better a place to hide, David, than the world's oceans? Man, if you could hide under the oceans.
We already know they can dive right into it. We know there's video of it happening.
And everything that's on the earth, the cave systems and everything else that's on land, down in that water, you know it. And that blows my mind that there's gold and silver and all the elements are down there in the ocean. They find stuff like that down there.
Oh yeah, stuff that hasn't even been not even never seen.
How fantastic would it be, David, to have drones that you could drive underwater drones that you could drive around and look at different objects under the ocean?
That's one of those shows I like, actually. Is you ever see those ones on Discovery where they go so deep in the ocean people have never been, and they got these fish that just look like alien creatures, and one fish actually has like a lure and it catches fish. It's got a fishing pole on his head.
Yeah,
I'm serious. And then it's got like a little worm on it, and it's like the whole purpose is it's a lure. Is that
the one? Is that the one that has the head on it? Like the head's looks almost like a skeleton looking skull with the teeth.
It's got funky some scary looking teeth. Yeah, I love it. Just makes you wonder what else is out there that we don't know.
Yeah, we haven't discovered.
The ocean's so huge.
And see, here's the thing: the ocean is a prime example of a place where cryptids could exist. And
no
a lot of the cave systems could be tied into the oceans. We don't know. We don't know what's under the ground. The only things that we do know that's under the ground is we know there's military bases under there. We know there's deep underground military bases or facilities.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, that
Definitely
how
a
much
big
of
one out
this?
there. Definitely a big one out there in the Antarctica too. We know
Oh
that's a
man,
no.
there's definitely.
That's a no fly zone for some reason.
Yeah, it's a no-fly zone. It's like telling us that UFOs don't exist, but if
Yeah.
you shot at one, I bet they'd come looking for you. You
Oh,
know,
no doubt.
um, the Antarctica. That's a big mystery too, man. Of what's down there. There's a reason. There is a reason that the diplomats and the world leaders go to the Antarctic or the Arctic or wherever. I think it's Antarctic, isn't
Super.
it?
Yes. Super secluded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're having well, I think they're having meetings with someone or something down there in
Oh
the
yeah.
Arctic.
The powwows
Yeah.
with
Make
with only God only knows, man.
it makes you wonder with the story that we heard of the secret diary of Admiral Byrd of who really won World War II, and are they maybe down there? I've heard him say that it's a possible that they found a paradise down there, like
Wow.
warm water, clean water, warm environment underground. Like, and
That's
if you
funny you
think
say
about
that.
it,
I've heard that too
hmm
about the warm water.
if you and you know where that would come from would be volcanoes. They
Yep. Yep.
heated. Iceland is a perfect example. They have the geothermal. They use a lot of geothermal heat where they harness heat from the volcanoes. Because there's a lot of volcanoes, I guess, in Iceland.
Mhm.
And if the Antarctic is anything like that, and then under the ice, which is miles and miles thick, maybe it's carved out over time. The lava and the warm water has carved out vast areas of land underneath the ice that's just pristine.
Yep.
That what better place to live in sub-zero temperatures, and you're underground and under the ice in
Living,
a
yeah, living it up in a
paradise,
mansion. Yeah,
living it up in a
exactly.
yeah. Nobody'd ever know. And like they'd protect that. They would protect that. There's why you have a no-fly zone. And then
Hmm.
also, I've heard of the opening. You've heard of the opening down there
Oh yeah.
to the interior.
Oh yeah.
That it sure makes you wonder. Somebody that I work with told me the other day. They said, "Do you know why they call libraries libraries?" And I said, "No, why?" And she said, "Because they bury lies in the library."
Wow. That's pretty deep.
Library, that's not the same word, bury or whatever as brary.
Mm.
I guess, but I've
Just
heard
like
that everything that we've read and been taught has been a lie. Have you ever
just
heard that,
like
David?
the yeah, just like the old television to tell a vision.
Mm-hmm.
Recently
Tell
heard that.
lie
And I,
vision.
yep.
Yep, tell lie vision. That was
Hmm.
made by the Germans. Made that in World War II, I guess, to spread
There,
propaganda.
yeah, there was I remember hearing a video or something of these people on an aircraft carrier watching the TV, and the general came in and was like, "Turn that off right now." He already knew it was nothing but a brainwashing tool,
Mm-hmm.
basically. They looked at him like he was crazy, but it is what it is.
Oh yeah. Um, Getting back to the little people, what about the the gnome thing? You know how like they have gnomes with the little pointy hats and all that. Um, are those I mean, that's another version of little people. You got Puckwudgies, Cherokee little people, the gnomes, and then there's also I've heard of something called a duende down in South America,
Never haven't heard of that one.
and they will take children that have unusual traits, like if they have green eyes or blonde hair or something, some kind of unusual trait, they will take them. And then our neighbor, hit her. I think there's, I don't know how many brothers and sisters she's got. I know that she said they sound like they had two brothers. She had two brothers, but the one brother had came here, him and his wife from Colombia, and I showed him the footprint of the little footprint that I had, and
Mhm.
both of them started saying "Duende, Duende," and
Oh wow.
they started telling me I didn't get to record it. I should have, but they started telling me the story about their brother was taken by a duende, and the villagers went looking for him, and they found him in the woods, and he was surrounded by food. They had put him in a circle of food, like fruits and vegetables and different things all around him. Now, was he going to be supper, or were they just going to keep him and feed him?
Sounds like it was going to be supper.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. You know, that makes me think of old Bear. Shout out old Bear. He one of his encounters. There's a clan of Bigfoot that are pretty aggressive, and he said that they go after. They target blonde and blue eyed and even redheads.
Wow.
That's when you mentioned that about the blue eyes, it made me think about that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, last night when I was telling you the story about the experience we had with the blue eyes in the woods.
That no, that was awesome too. That was awesome that you and your buddy, got to see that. Kind of asked for it, and you got to see it.
Yeah, and
That
the
had to
thing
be
of it,
that had to be it. But the way you told the encounter, it was almost like they were friendly.
they were, and I mean they weren't aggressive or mean to us or didn't try to hurt us or anything, but I took that psychic lady back in there with me, and showed her the area, and she started walking around and getting the feelings of what it was. And because I thought maybe they were juvenile, like juvenile Sasquatch or whatever, and she told me, she said, i'm not I'm not getting that feeling off of these things. She said, I'm not sure. She basically said, I'm not sure what they are, but I don't believe that they're Bigfoot or whatever. But she did say,
Hmm.
you need to be careful in here, or this and around this area here. You need to be
You know,
careful here.
it makes me think of something on the eye color. What if these things, there's red, there's blue, green, all eye color. What if these things, just possibility? What if they're, can have eye color based on mood? If they're in a
Like a
good
mood
mood
ring.
and
Yeah.
right, like you guys saw them, they had blue eyes. Y'all didn't feel the fear.
Mm-hmm.
Some people see the intense red ones, and they're the ones that are look like they're out for blood and chasing cars and opening doors, and just it makes me wonder about that.
Well, spotlighting deer at
Maybe,
night.
maybe, right. Maybe yellow is just their natural, color, and then some of them can change on mood,
When I was
especially
young man,
Sasquatch and Dogman.
when I was a young
Sorry,
man,
Lee. Go ahead.
and that's okay. When I was a young man, we come down here and lived with my cousins and stuff. When we were young, we would go out at night and we'd spotlight for deer just to see, just to locate them, just to see where a good place to hunt would be, or where there was, the majority of the deer. We didn't go out and try to, poach them or none of that. We were just legitimately spotlighting for them, and we got to noticing that. The green eyes, whenever you would see green, like the green eyes, they would be a doe. It would be a doe. 9 times out of
Oh,
10, it would be a doe. But
really?
if you saw red eyes standing out in the field with the green eyes, that was a buck chasing a doe. 9 times out of 10. And
Thanks for
and
telling
they
me
would be
that. That's interesting.
they would be standing side by side. So you'd see a red eye shine coming from the buck, and you'd see a green eye shine coming from the doe. So a lot of times we'd drive by a field, we'd pick up green eye shine, we'd just keep on going till we picked up a red eye shine, and then we'd stop and check it out and try to see what it was, see if it was a
Hmm.
buck.
So the red eye is a
So,
good possibility. It's a buck.
yes, yeah, that's the
That's
way.
awesome. I never knew
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Wow.
Some people would probably say that's not true, but it was in our case.
Hey,
It
hey,
you got to pay attention sometimes.
pay attention to detail, and if it's happened to you several times, then I'm a
Mm-hmm.
firm believer.
Yeah. Um, the little people really, it's really interesting stuff, man. I can see. I don't. I don't know what they are or where they come from or whatever, but just as we know the Bigfoot, we know there's something out there in the Bigfoot field.
Mhm.
And just because we don't have a lot of stuff about the little people doesn't mean that they're not there. I mean, nobody's looking for them.
Well, like you
Know,
said, the smaller they're going to hide easier.
absolutely.
That gives them an extra capability right there.
Well, they say that the Puckwudgies carry a little bow and arrow. I've heard the stories of them talking about them carrying a little bow and arrow, and that little footprint that I found. One of the weird things about that little footprint, there was a the direction that it was heading in, just another 2 or 3 steps of this thing, and it took another 2 or 3 steps. There was a crossbow bolt right there, which looked like a little tiny arrow. And so I thought to myself, well, maybe this thing was walking up and looking at that arrow like it was going to, try to take the arrow. So what I did was I pulled the arrow out of the ground because it was stuck in the ground. It's like somebody shot it there. So I pulled it out of the ground and I leaned it up on that tree. And
let them have it.
now to let them have it, yes. And one of the weird things about it is the tree that I leaned that little arrow up on, now that I think about it, is the same tree where they made the tree bend, David, where they bent the tree over.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hey.
So it was like I gave them that arrow, or put that there, and
maybe
then
maybe that was their thank you.
Mm-hmm. We found back in there, we crossed a creek on over from where I've got pictures of it. I'll probably put them online here at some point. Where this tree fell, but it almost looked like this big tree that had fell was woven in between other trees. Have you ever heard of that? You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And back in there was like a root system that came up out of the ground, but it made a perfect little bowl. It looked like a basket, like sticking up out of the ground. And they talk about gifting them or whatever. Well, I went back in there and I gifted them some donuts. I put some donuts up on the tree. And then I put a turtle shell. I put a turtle shell up in the tree with marbles in it for them.
Awesome.
So just to, here's the way I look at it. I have been in so many places in the woods, deep in the thickets that I could get in, way back into the river bottoms, big hard original growth forest, and I know that there were things around that could have took me out in a second, but they let me trespass in their territory.
Do you think that
and I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, and it makes me wonder. I've often wondered this, Lee. Do you think that these things know a lover of nature? Like, for example, ourselves, they can just tell from the looks, or maybe I've often wondered that, like, because
I think
a person of respect of nature, maybe they can pick up on that. That's what I'm wondering and asking.
I think they know your intention when you go in the woods. They know what kind of mood you're in. They know, just like a dog can smell fear on a human, through your pheromones or whatever. These creatures have the ability that they know what your intentions are as you go in there. They know whether you're gonna try to hurt them, or if if you're going to not mess with them or whatever. Because when I saw that, whatever those eyes were in the woods, it was, like I said, about 30 yards away. They were probably 8-9 feet up in the air, and if it wanted to get me, it could have got me. It could have probably been up and at me in probably 3 steps, as big as whatever it was. And
that's why I always say I'm not here to harm you, because really I don't know what I'm messing with out there. I still don't know.
Mm-hmm. When I had that encounter, I didn't really have any fear about it at all. I never really have had any fear of any of this stuff that I've seen. But anyway, I never made a move towards my gun. I never tried to grab my gun or anything like that. I just stood there looking at it in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why it didn't really get aggressive, because it knew that I wasn't going to mess with anything. I would never shoot at anything in the dark and that I couldn't see. I'm not shooting at anything in the dark. So that thought never really crossed my mind. What thought did cross my mind when I was looking at it was, are you really seeing this? Are you really seeing this? What in the world is this? That's what I was.
Am I dreaming?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I'm thinking, are you going nuts? Or your mind playing tricks on you? Are you really seeing this? Yeah, you're really seeing this. What is this? And that's when I got I don't know if you call it mind speak, or it was just a knowing, or maybe it was just a knowing, but it was like it told me it like it wasn't like an audible voice. It was like more one you hear in your mind. And it was like what I got off of it. What it said was, I just wanted you to know that I'm here. And then it walked off. That's when the eyes went out and it walked off. But that's what I heard in my mind was, I just wanted you to know that I'm here.
Wow. And y'all did know.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew. I never told it. I never told my cousins nothing. I didn't say nothing to anybody about it until years later. And I thought, well, I'm just going to start sharing that story because it really happened. I'm not making it up or anything. It happened.
What year did that happen, Lee, when you saw the blue-eyed creatures?
The blue-eyed creatures happened in 2018, I believe, 19.
Oh,
but
okay, so recent.
Recent, yeah.
Wow.
Maybe 2019 day.
That's awesome.
About 2019. So it'd been what, 2-3 years ago. But that was recent. But then the eyes that I saw down south was that happened like in, I'm gonna say 93, 94, something like that. Is when that happened. I was just a young pup back then. I didn't even have. I wasn't even hunting out of a tree stand yet because we didn't have tree stands back then, like the climbing tree stands that we have now.
Yep.
And I didn't even have one. Like my dad had one that they'd made like in the 70s or whatever out of plywood and stuff, and climbed the trees with. But
I remember those. Yep.
Yeah.
The grandpa made ones. Hey, they worked.
Yeah, they sure did. They did the job. They really did. But I didn't even have anything like that back then. I was just hunting on the ground. That's why I was sitting there waiting until daylight in the pitch dark. I don't, the Cherokee little people, man, that just really blows my mind that there could be this little tribe of people out there that still exists to this day that a lot of people don't know anything about.
I would like to get a hold of. It would be cool to talk to someone, Cherokee, and tell us about that. That would be amazing.
Yes, I would love to talk.
I'm still learning about the Puckwudgies and all of that, and the little people and the gnomes myself. But I find it very, very fascinating stuff because it's stuff like, who would ever think that something like that would exist? It's at first thought it's crazy, but people actually see them, and makes you think.
David, there's more to this life than what we know.
No, without a doubt.
There is a definite hidden world that we do not have any understanding of that's out there.
I used to tell people, what is it? The squid. The squid used to be a cryptid, and people probably saw that thing, and it was imagine the stories people thought when they saw that thing. You can only imagine. And, it turned out, and then they discovered it, and it's real. It just goes to show you the things that science just hasn't discovered yet. The cryptids and all that makes you wonder what else. There's got to be so many others that we don't even know about.
I tell you what really creeps me out is the thought of that rake. The rake.
Yeah, the rake is something I definitely would be in the opposite direction of, especially that even that video that was a movie production that was still scary. All those rake videos. There's one. Have you seen the one of the the kid in the daytime, and he's like, "What is that? A cow?" And then all of a
Yeah,
sudden it starts crawling towards it. That thing
yeah,
that looked real. That
it
video
did
looked
that.
authentic, and the
Yes,
kid's reaction seemed authentic.
yes, sir. Yes,
And
sir. It sure did.
the way it moved, it looked more humanoid, rakish instead of the, the classic rake look. But man, whatever that thing was, I would have been heading for the hills.
Mm-hmm. That's
I
creepy,
don't know.
man.
I don't know what people always ask that question. What is the rake? I always thought it was a creepy pasta thing and made up, but to me, when I look at it, some kind of demon or alien. I'm not sure, man, but it
Yeah,
definitely get evil vibes from it.
I just wonder if it's something genetically modified. Something
That
genetically
too,
modified that they let out hunt to hunt at
that
night
too.
and stuff.
Yeah, and people seeing them in sewers and stuff, and ugh,
Hmm. I think that the powers that be either create things like that or which I would say they probably do and have created. If you've seen it on a movie, if
people playing
hmm
God with certain animals and stuff, and man, we don't know what got loose out there.
absolutely. All I know is if I see a human-headed pig creature coming at me in the woods, I'm I'm taking care of
Uh,
business either way.
that's like that's like me with clowns. I got a clown phobia. I don't do clowns. And now
Wow.
all those idiots today that go and dress like them, and that's just stupid.
Hmm. Have
Here
you
in
seen those
Texas,
videos?
that's not a good idea. In here in Texas to do that, it is
Yeah.
not.
No. Don't mess with Texas, that's for sure.
But wasn't that a weird era that all of a sudden the kids were doing that and then it just stopped? Really strange.
Oh, about the clowns?
Yeah.
Yes. Did you see the videos of people dressing up like clowns and standing out on the with a knife?
Mhm.
Is that
Yeah,
what you're talking about, David?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to scare
That's
people.
oh yeah. Yeah, that's creepy. It's like that old movie. Remember the Something Wicked This Way Comes? Remember it's
Hmm.
almost like that and the movie It.
That's what
It's
got me was the original It movie. I was like 7 years old when that came out, and my brother didn't make me watch it, but I watched it, and it just terrified the crap out of me. And
you
then
know
that's
that
where
fish
the
you
clown phobia
that
came from.
you know that fish you was talking about with that little tentacle thing on its head and like it was like its little fishing lure. That's what
Yeah.
that clown was. That's what that clown was in that movie. He was that little fishing lure for that spider.
That's true. That's true.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
man.
Um,
Yeah.
I know. I don't think I've ever been in the woods and been shot at by a Puckwudgie or anything with his bow and arrow. So I've not come
I
across any. I haven't come
wouldn't want
across
to.
any.
Wouldn't want to know. But
Mm,
a bunch of little arrows can't feel too good.
mm-mm. Now you know. Now this is kind of strange. That now we're talking about this, and I said I have never found any little arrows. Well, well, I'm from up north, and me and my dad one year we was digging out a garden in the front yard of the house, and I'm not kidding you. I found a little tiny arrowhead or arrow point that was it was perfect. It was shining because I thought it was a piece of glass, and I picked it up. It was in perfect condition, and it's tiny, very tiny little arrow point for an arrow. And somebody tried to say, well, that was Indian would shoot small game with that. Well, why would they shoot small game with something like that? They would either
Yeah,
throw a rock at it or,
if they're gonna go
but
through the
that was,
time of making an arrowhead, they're gonna make something to kill something
yep.
bigger, in
If,
my opinion.
yep. I think my dad still got that little arrowhead. And it's the tiniest little arrowhead you've ever seen. I
You'll
ain't
have
never
to
seen enough. I've never seen another one like it. I can tell you that.
you'll have to take a picture of it
If,
and show us.
yeah, I think I put it in the back of an old clock up there in his house. So if he still has that old clock, it's still in there. I kept old coins and stuff in an old clock in the back of it. But yeah, I guess I did find something that was could be almost considered little people size.
Yeah.
So
and if they were referred to as moon people and watch the garden or whatever, you had plenty of land for that.
oh yeah. I'll tell you. Well, this is getting off the subject of the little people and the cryptids, but I don't know if did I tell you the story about the Buffalo Trail, where I used to live. I was driving down the road, and the old man, this old man, he put a sign out along the road, and it said the old Buffalo Trail.
No, I don't think so.
And this old Buffalo Trail, you could see where over time the buffalo had cut a path across this field, and it looked like a big, I don't know, maybe, I don't know how wide, maybe 10 feet wide, 15 feet wide ditch going through a field. That was the old Buffalo Trail, where they had, their old migration route where they would run through, and they would, cut ruts through the middle of the fields. And it was deep enough on one end of it. They took a bulldozer and bulldozed the Buffalo Trail and made a little pond in this field. And I would drive that road all the time to go to work, or, to go different places, go fishing. I mainly would go fishing down that road. And there's this big hill, like the glacial dome that I was telling you, like my friend Bud lived on. There's this big hill, and you come down the big hill that the road would go, down. But right before this big hill, there was, off to my right hand side, there was this one little field off to my right. And every time I'd pass that field, I would think to myself, man, that'd sure be a perfect place for Indians to live, so they could see the valley down below. And I didn't know about the Buffalo Trail at that time, but that after I seen where the Buffalo Trail was, I know why I thought that would be a good spot, because the Indians would have set up on that hill, and they would have watched that for that buffalo migration to come through, or the buffalo, coming through the trail. So one night I have a dream about this. I'm sitting in I know now today, I didn't know then. It's a long hut. You know what a long hut is? They make them out of sticks, and they're long. They're not a teepee. They're just a long hut, and they've put like tree bark over the top, make the roofs warm and this and that. And so I'm sitting in this long hut, and and there's a fire inside, and there's an Indian sitting across from me. And he's got a not a headrest on, but he's got this hat on that's made. You ever seen Last of the Dog Man, where they got that dog soldier's got this weird looking hat with the feathers sticking out all over the place? You know what I'm talking about? And it's round looking.
Yes,
it's not like a chief. It's not like a chief's Indian chief. But anyway, this Indian's got this kind of a hat thing on, similar to it. And I'm looking at him across the fire, and he shows me a feather, like an eagle feather. And as I'm looking at that eagle feather, I like look away, and then I look back at the eagle feather, and there's maggots crawling on this eagle feather. Whoa. And so I pointed at the eagle feather to let him know that there was bugs crawling on it, those maggots. And he had his palm up and his arm out, and he had the feather laying on that, and he took his hand and he wiped the maggots off into the fire, basically towards the fire. And when he made that motion with his hands, the dream changes, and I'm on the outside of this long hut, and I believe it was in the wintertime. It looked like maybe wintertime, as I remember. And there were these soldiers in these red outfits, and I remember they were like the colonial looking outfits, and they had like the white sash kind of thing going down. And they had muskets, and they were killing the men, women, and children. They were just slaughtering these men, women, and children left and right.
Oh my gosh.
And so I went to work, and my friend that had lived on the Indian reservations, and he was part Chippewa Indian. He was Chippewa and something else, Cherokee, I think, or something. And I told him the dream, and I said, I don't know what this means, but I've heard that you're not supposed to interpret your own dream. Somebody else is supposed to interpret the dream. And so I went through and just told him what I told you. And he said, what that Indian was trying to show you was that the men in the red coats, the soldiers that came, get this, David. He said they wiped them out just like maggots.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's what he said. They wiped them out like they were maggots. Like they didn't, those people in the red coats didn't care anything. That didn't mean the Native Americans and the Indians, they didn't mean anything to them. They just murdered them.
Wow.
But I didn't even think of that. I didn't put two and two together like that. And
wow.
That I thought, wow, how powerful is that? You know.
So you have the very vivid dreams as well, huh?
Yeah, and I also saw that Indian again here at the house. I had one of those out of body experiences, and I've got a coyote up on the mat, up on like a loft area in our house.
Oh, that's awesome.
I had an out of body experience where I was coming down the hallway, like floating down the hallway, and as I was coming down the hallway, I looked up and I could see where the coyote was at, but it didn't look like a coyote was there anymore. It looked like a turkey fan up there, or that's what I thought was a turkey fan. And as I'm walking by, the Indian that was in that first dream, he lifts his head up and he looks at me over the loft area, and he reaches over and hands me a feather.
Whoa.
So wow. I don't know what that meant. I yet to discover what that means, but he was the same. It was the same Indian from amazing. that other area. That's amazing. Yeah, it was but that was a heck of a dream that I had about being in the long hut. I didn't even know what a long hut was until after, I saw one in a museum or somewhere, and then I knew what it was. Because I always thought Indians just lived in teepees, you know what I mean? I didn't realize they lived in all kinds of different structures. They lived in all kinds of different things. But yeah, that's one of my creepy stories, I guess. I really kind of thought it was a good story because it
is that the part with the maggots. That's something.
Yeah, I feel bad. Like I feel bad for and then, like I was telling you, there's another place up north, and there's a story. It was called Lunch Creek or some kind of creek like that, Hungry Creek or Lunch Creek up north. And then there's a story where they talk about those soldiers going through and basically just wiping out the Indians, like killing every man, woman, and child in the village. And that I can feel the energy when I go through there. I have that feeling of dread. Me and my mom and most of the people in my family that have went up through there, we always talk. Somebody always brings it up about how the energy feels in that area,
almost like a misery,
like it's depression. It's like just a veil of depression over that land right there. There's some bad medicine in that area right there. There's some things in that area that needs to be reconciled with. I can tell you that. You can feel it. I mean, you can feel it through that area.
Wow.
It's amazing what kind of abilities we have as human beings that people don't realize and that they haven't tapped into. I think that a lot of them are the abilities are suppressed. Like, little kids say they see they see imaginary friends or whatnot, and who's to say they're really not seeing the imaginary friends? When Darlene, or my friend, comes on the show, she's got some pictures, David, of an imaginary friend that her grandson talked about, and you can see this imaginary friend in the door looking.
Oh wow!
Looking at him. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
had a friend, and actually she lived in Indiana too, and we were
huh.
online friends, and she had just built a house and remodeled it. She remodeled it, and she thinks this is. I think that's what triggered the hauntings
Mm-hmm.
to start happening. You know how because when a remodeling
Mm-hmm.
stuff can start happening. Well, she said she would watch her grandbaby, and this grandbaby would roll a ball, and she said, "Su not Lee, that the something would roll the ball back towards the baby, and that baby would
Oh
sit
wow.
there, and yeah." And she said even said one time they were doing sheetrock, and they would leave the house, and they came back, and the sheetrock mud had some claw marks in it. She actually showed
Oh.
it. She showed me the pictures of it. Yeah, it was
Hmm.
creepy stuff. I was like,
Wow.
oh, I was like, I would have been out of there, but she said nothing else has happened since then, but pretty wild.
Wow.
I
There's
think
a
remodeling a home can it does something. It wakes them up or makes them mad. Maybe the fact that you're changing things that was
mhm.
once theirs. You know, I've always wondered that.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then wherever they're at or whatever existence that they are in, they can
Mhm.
see into our existence then.
Yeah,
They can
yeah,
interact in our existence, but we can't interact in theirs that we know of.
yep.
That maybe you know what this is a weird thought, but maybe we are um maybe we're the dead and they're the living.
Hey, hey,
How
hey,
do we know?
that's some mind blowing stuff right there.
Yeah,
That's some mind blowing stuff right there. You
absolutely.
you got me on that one, Lee. Give me just a second. I gotta grab my charger.
Oh, that's okay. Are you running out, David?
But it's my phone does it real quick, especially on shows. But it's all good. Not a big
Well,
deal.
I'm sure glad to be doing these shows with you, David. I really appreciate your hospitality and
Oh man,
good conversation.
that's what it's all about, brother.
Man, once we start getting some guests on here, we're gonna have a blast, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. We should have been doing this a while back.
Yeah, we should have. I like how we're doing it now, to where we're trying to be serious about it, but we're kind of practicing. We're getting into the rhythm of it. Everything has a rhythm, and we got to find that rhythm.
Yeah,
So,
everything's bear with me, y'all. I'm still new at this, so uh, it's just all it is basically a conversation about the unknown, really. And
mm-hmm.
we both like that kind of stuff, and there's people out there that like that kind of stuff. That's all it's about.
I know somebody, David, that had an encounter while they were deer hunting with an orb, with the
Oh
lights
wow.
in the, but it came up to this person, and I'll let him tell the story. But anyway, he basically was interacting with it, but it wouldn't let him touch it. It would back away. He'd try to touch it and it'd back away. So that's going to be
It
interesting.
makes me wonder if these cryptids can turn into an orb and kind of
Hmm.
move around that way.
Yeah, yeah, that I can see that. We don't really know, David. I mean, we don't know what. Like I said, maybe we're the ones that are dead, and the dead ones are the ones that's really alive.
Scaring me, Lee. You're scaring me. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
That
that's
is a
okay,
good.
David.
That is a. You got to. I like how you think though, because man, I'm open to everything. That's what I love. That's what I love about this kind of stuff.
Oh, I do too, man.
And
That's what I like about it.
like the good old Marv used to say, there are no experts when it comes to these cryptids. Now, mind you.
Yeah.
And it's true, it's true.
Do you remember
It's a
the old TV series called Sightings? Do you remember that? It come on
without a
Henry
doubt, yes.
Henry Winkler was the co-producer of it, or the producer.
Oh, was
I
he
like
really?
yeah, Henry Winkler. If you look on
Wow, Fonzie.
the credits, it says Henry Winkler like is the co-producer or something like that. But
That's funny. I didn't know he was into that kind of stuff. I know Dan Aykroyd is. Dan
Dan
Aykroyd's
Aykroyd
actually
is.
had he's actually had UFO sightings.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Not to cut you off. Go back to what you
Oh
were
no,
saying.
that's okay. That in that show Sightings, they always said a mystery is never closed to an open mind. And I
I
always
like
like
that.
that.
I like that. Hey, that'd
Yeah.
be a good tattoo.
There you go.
Hmm.
Yep.
Or a good slogan on a shirt or something, you know.
Hey, how far are you there in Texas from the Marfa lights? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Hmm. The Marfa Lights, from my understanding, was in the north of like the hill country in the flatlands where all the big energy turbines are and stuff like probably, man, Texas is big. I ain't gonna lie. Probably 4 or 5 hours from here.
4 or 5 hours.
Hmm.
How big is Texas actually, David? Do you know how big it is across? And
I have no idea, but I know it's huge. My
can you?
my grandpa used to live in the Panhandle in Amarillo, and it would take us 6 hours to just to drive there, and that was just from and I live in North Texas, and that was just going from North Texas to the Panhandle. Imagine going from the Panhandle all the way to the coast. That's like that's
Wow,
like uh that's like 8, 9, 10 hours.
wow. So you could like start on one side of the state and get to the other side next year.
Yeah,
It's
you're definitely
Texas is
if you're driving across state, you're definitely taking a whole day driving. It's gonna
is it
take all
really
day. Yeah.
that like Texas is like almost like its own little country, you know it, or not little, but good
Hmm.
size, its own
But
country.
it's cool because it has like its East Texas has like its forest part.
Yeah.
Where Lake Fork is at and the great fishing and uh I think, man, I get some creepy vibes when I'm there in the morning, let me tell you. It's with the fog and the woods. It's
Hmm.
just it's just ooh, it's creepy.
Hey, does Lake
Um
Fork butt up to the big thicket? Does it sit on
mm,
the big thicket?
you know what? I'm not sure. I know it's a good question. I have to find that out. But I do miss going there. There's some, oh man, there's some big old boys in that lake. You would love it.
Is there?
Oh
Oh
yeah.
man,
But
get some.
there's nothing worse seeing them. I mean, you can see them. They're like giant footballs in there just swimming around, and you throw your little whatever, and they look at you like, yeah, right. It's so overly fished. It's like they're onto you.
Could you use
You gotta really fool them.
could you use bluegill, like live bluegill, to fish for them?
Yes, a lot of people have caught big ones on these big gold shiners, and they
Oh
don't use
wow,
bluegill. They don't use the bluegill. You can, I'm sure, but there's a shop there that sell these big orange shiners, and uh, a lot of times these big old bass will eat them up, and you can get lucky and catch a 10, 11, 12, 13. They're all in there that size.
wow.
Yeah, and that's
That'd
something you
be
read in the paper. I've read online, and it'll say bass average being caught 8 to 13 pounds on average, and I'm like, my goodness, that must be nice. I'm still looking for that double digit.
like the 10 pounder, the
Hmm.
12 pounder.
Yeah, but it's all in fun.
Oh
I
yeah,
just enjoy the outdoors. I like fishing more than I do hunting, but a buddy of mine
yeah.
just started getting into hunting for pheasant and quail, and he loves it. Yeah,
That's
he's
awesome.
the yeah.
You guys have
I've
wild.
never tried it. I've never tried it, but I'd like to go.
You guys have wild hog down there, don't you? Do you
We
have to
do.
worry about that where you fish?
Oh, no. I have heard about them coming up this far, but they're mainly in South Texas.
Are they?
Hmm.
I heard there's pretty.
I heard people actually hunt them in a helicopter. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen them. The video of them doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I take it. It's really expensive to do that. It'd be
Mm-hmm.
fun, but only thing
Yeah.
is though, I would want to make sure that the meat went to good use. I wouldn't just
Right.
kill to be
Me
killing.
too. Me too. See, me and you are on the same page.
I
Uh,
wonder. I've heard him say that it doesn't taste that good. That the wild hog doesn't taste all that good.
I've
But
never tried it. I've never
I
tried
bet.
it, but the first time I tried deer, it was a little wild and gamey to me. But
Mm-hmm.
what I do like is to make deer jerky.
Oh yeah, I make summer sausage too. I make jerky and summer
Mm-hmm.
sausage.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah, the
actually got
summer
a
sausage is
kit
good.
coming. I've got a summer sausage kit coming through the
Oh
mail.
yeah.
They quit selling the seasoning at the store here in town, and I had to order it online. It's probably been about 8 days now. It hasn't arrived. I'm ready to make some, man. I want to eat some deer summer sausage. I love it. I
Oh
just
man, you would
put it in the
you would love
smoker.
it. You would love it here, man. All the stores got everything, every
Oh,
seasoning you could think of, anything barbecue, anything cooking, you name it. It's there.
you like good old barbecue, David?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I like
Oh
to make
man.
a good I like to make a good brisket and either slice it or chop it up and have chop sandwiches.
Oh yeah. Mm. They have a lot of hog roasts around here. Like the farmers will have a hog roast, or
I
big
would
old
like to,
bonfire and a hog roast.
yeah, I would like to try a wild hog. I've heard about it and I've heard other people say the same. It tastes very wild.
Yeah,
Hmm.
the
I guess it tastes getting used to.
wild turkey's not too bad, but there's something about when you clean an animal. It's almost like if you get that blood on your hands, it's like you can smell it through the meat. So I've killed wild turkeys before, but I don't. I would prefer to have like a store bought turkey, honestly. But the best wild turkey that I ever had was one that somebody had put in a smoker. Like
Yeah.
they had smoked it, and they had a party and invited us, and we got to try it that way.
So I'm like
But
you. I don't like the cleaning and the gutting and of fish. I have a neighbor that does it, and he keeps a big bag of it for him, and then he'll break me off a big old bag of crappie, and it's a win-win.
oh yeah, you like
But
crappie?
oh, I love it, love it.
How about bluegill? You like bluegill?
You know what? Bluegill kind of blew me away too. It was just as good as crappie was.
There's
I
we
thought.
got per. Go ahead.
I think crappie is basically a species of perch anyway, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but
We've got
a real, it was good. Yeah, it was good.
we've got yellow perch up north. There's not
I've
so
heard of
many of them
that.
down here, and I
I've
tell
heard of
you
that.
what, they are delicious. Those things are delicious. That would be
Succulent.
it would go for me. It would go yellow perch, bluegill, and then crappie, and then
Yeah.
walleye's pretty good. I like catfish too, but sorry,
Yeah.
we're getting off
Mm.
topic again.
So,
Wandering
yeah,
minds.
it happens.
Oh
Yeah. I
yeah.
can't get me talking about fishing and food. I'll be off the radar.
Oh yeah. That's something you don't hear a lot about is a lot of fishermen having encounters. There's been a
Mm-mm.
few. There's
That
been a
makes me think of
there's
the one. Makes me think of the one on VIX that the two gentlemen went jug line hunting. Check their jug
yeah. Oh
line.
man, wasn't that a nail biter of a show?
Yeah, well, I don't mean to laugh, but it was classic when the motor didn't start. I mean, like,
Oh yeah,
I really, that's like straight out of a horror movie.
yeah. That
Of
monster was
course, the
coming to
dog man.
start their motor.
Oh
Yeah.
man, and they were dead to rights. It was like, well, do we jump out? And they're like, no, you don't jump out because the thing was swimming towards them. Shoot.
Yeah.
And I think didn't they finally get it started and got out of there? I think,
Mm, I
but
think so. Yeah.
that would have to be terrifying, Lee, to be fishing and see a dog man swimming after you, and then your boat don't start. Good lord.
Hmm. Or what if you were swimming and you felt a hand grab you underwater?
Oh man, I don't even want to think about that.
because I've heard that they're so big, those Bigfoot are so big, like we can hold our breath for like a minute or so. I probably couldn't because I don't
Their
have
lung
that good
capacity is bigger.
Yeah, and I've heard them say that they could hold their breath up to 5 minutes long. Well, if you can hold your breath for 5 minutes long, you could swim underwater into a cave and then pop up inside the cave.
That's a long time.
Yes, it is. 5 minutes is a long time. Yep, and you'd never get back in it. If a human would never swim back that far unless he had a diving suit on. Have you heard the story, David, of there's a place in Russia? It was a lake up in the mountains where they dove down in it and they encountered some kind of giant alien type beings.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the mermaid. No, I have not.
And I take it a few of the men maybe died or something like that. I'll have to look that encounter up.
You say a giant in the water?
Giant. They were some kind of alien, giant alien looking things, and they had helmets on. Like they had like underwater helmets on, and they swam up to these divers that were underwater.
Wow, that is out there.
Yeah, if you look that up on YouTube, you'll come across that. You'll find a video about it.
I gotta check that out.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
you can. Oh no, no, thank you. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to definitely check that one out.
So, can you tell us any more about the Stevensville UFO?
Yeah. I wish I could have seen it because it was all over the news and it was a big deal when it happened. But from what I heard, it was the size of a football stadium. There was a gentleman out hunting that saw it, and he just said the sheer size of it was just blew him away. I think he said it was bigger than a football field. One of them said a stadium, and it had these weird. One gentleman actually took the cell phones back then were the flip phones, but it didn't get good pictures, but it caught the images of the colors, and these colors were changing in a different pattern. From blue to green to yellow to red, but it was one solid object. And the guy in the woods said that it was moving quiet, no sound whatsoever, moving very slow, and that he said he was just stunned, and he was like, basically, like you said, you get that feeling of, am I actually seeing this? Freaking out type thing. And then that's when he said that he could hear the F-16s come, and then when the F-16s came, that's when that thing darted off. But on the news, it said that this thing had made maneuvers. It showed it on radar how it was moving, like it was playing with these F-16s, and then look what I can do, and basically shot out of there. But there was no other really visuals on it because it was at nighttime.
My uncle, he never believed in any of this stuff, but he had a sighting with my mom this last spring. And he was telling me that one of his hunting buddies, he's in his 70s now, he's got some hunting buddies he still hangs out with. And he said that his buddy saw one, him and his wife saw one up around Indianapolis. And he tried to pull over because he wanted to see it. And his wife says, "Oh no, you can't pull over here because the traffic's pretty bad up on 465 or 70 or whatever highway he was on up there." But he told my uncle, yeah, he saw one, and it was real.
Wow.
But
sometimes it takes to see one to believe one.
Yeah, that's right.
There's just way too many people that have seen them to discredit. Same for these cryptids.
And the sheer size of a craft that's the size of a football stadium. What is that? What in the world?
Exactly.
Is that
That's
that
why.
like
That's
your
why. That's why I laughed when the media was like, "Oh, it was a blimp on its way to the Cowboy game."
is
Come
that
on,
their
man.
is that their like apartment complex in space type thing, or what is that? You know?
That's what you know. What that's what one witness said was like it made him think of a mothership. He
Oh,
thinks
a
that was
mother.
a mothership. Hmm.
You know, that's our explanation. Sorry. That's our explanation for it. You know,
But
terminology of
these things could be so big that mothership could be really, in reality, tiny to what they have. What if that was actually something small, and the mothership is actually the size of a small state?
you
You
know,
never know.
yeah.
You just never know.
What
That's the
if
way I look at it.
like they talk about like I said the other night, we don't really know what space is. We don't know what the truth is. Like NASA is a never a straight answer, is basically what they stand
Never a
for.
straight answer. Yep.
But what about like they talk about us living in a firmament and that there's waters up in the heavens, like in it we're like basically we can't leave. Basically, we can't leave here. But what's on the
Mm,
other side of that? Well, what would be on the other side of that if that was the case? You
good
know?
question. Good question.
Have you
That's a good question. You got me wondering.
have have you seen the footage of the people that's supposed to be on the space stations, and it looks like they've got wires attached to them and they're flipping around, and the guy gets caught on the wire, his arm gets caught on the wire,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
there was footage of him like supposedly walking out in space, and the guy's trying to get into the space station, and the hatch is made out of cardboard.
The, and you know, I didn't mean to laugh at the Captain Kirk thing, but man, come on, come on. I mean I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you think you went to space?
I think he's an actor, and if he wanted to well up some tears for the public, damn it, Jim, we've seen you in action before. So,
Oh, that's hilarious.
you know,
Oh man. Yeah, I
um,
was
and,
laughing when I saw that. I was like, really? You're gonna cry? And then
mhm.
they filmed that, and I was like, okay, that's the message they're trying to send
I
across.
think he was just crying because he was just glad that
Uh,
they landed safe back on Earth.
there, there you go.
I mean, you're
There you
flying
go.
on a candle, you know, you're flying on a candle full of fuel.
Yeah,
Wow.
yes, and supposedly there's people lined up, like ready to go on the same trip. You know, it costs like all these celebrities are willing to pay like 200,000 to do this space travel.
Yeah, let's pay $200,000 to go on something
That's
like
just
that when there's all these people out here starving to death, and then they're telling us that we ain't doing
thank
enough.
you, thank
We
you.
ain't doing enough.
Yeah, thank
Whatever.
you.
That's
Well
why I
said.
don't I don't watch their movies anymore. I don't watch their movies.
Well,
I ain't buying nothing from.
well said.
I ain't
Just
buying
like
nothing off of any of them.
I don't buy the uh Nikes anymore with LeBron. Oh, with LeBron and with Kaepernick. Ever
Yeah.
since they did their thing, I was like, you know what? If Nike's gonna be like that, then don't need my business. Which I know it don't hurt them, but
No,
still,
they don't. They don't get my business either, David. They never will.
I just couldn't believe it. You know.
Hmm. Oh, I can. I know where their paychecks come from. We know who they are.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
the
we know who they
big
are.
boys
We
writing
know
that.
who
The
we
big
know who
boys
they
writing
are
those
and what they're
checks.
affiliated with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you be this idol. And here you go. Here's your
Hmm.
money.
Yeah, we know about the false idol things, don't we?
Hmm.
They make all the money in the world, and what are they doing with their money? And then looking at us poor folk and saying, "You're not out here doing enough. You've got the means to change the world, and you're looking at us like we do." I don't think so. And
Yeah.
I guess I got a bad attitude.
No, it's that you see the truth. Nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that.
truth seeker.
Yes, sir.
you know, that's the whole name of the game for the show is truth. We want to know the truth. We want to see the truth.
You know, it's
Maybe.
funny. One of my coworkers a while back, he used to be a big LeBron fan, and I was always in his ear about this conspiracy stuff and how LeBron was, he throws up the signs and all that and the I word. No, I'm not gonna say it, but
Mm-hmm.
now he's not even a fan. He totally he can see that he was basically like, wow, Dave, I was brainwashed. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, see, I was like, imagine all these little youngsters that look up to
Mm-hmm.
this
Mm-hmm.
and it's sad. It really is. Now he's
Hey.
totally different.
Well, that's
Will
good,
not
man.
support him at all. Yeah, yeah. He
I
thought
think
at
I
first he
think
thought at first he just was like, oh, you got too much time on your hand, you're crazy, whatever. He just didn't want to believe it. But when he
right.
did
I
his own
think.
when he did his own research and saw some stuff, he knew.
Mm-hmm. Oh
He
yeah.
even
Oh yeah.
admitted it.
Yeah. You
All, all,
once
all the sports, the music industry, everything, you name it.
we'll have to do a show one night on. There's a guy by the name of John Todd, and I'll have to put you on to some of his audio uh, things on YouTube if you can find it. You'll
Mhm.
probably have to go through DuckDuckGo because they cut that stuff off. But he gives you insight on the. This was in the 70s, and he's talking about stuff in the 70s that's going on right now. And when you hear it, you'll be blown away. And who's this guy right here? Who
There's
is this?
Gizmo. That's Gizzy.
Gizmo.
So
What are
what's
you
up,
doing,
Gizzy?
Gizmo? Are you good boy? Hey, that's
Yeah,
another
he
show. That's another show, David. I think animals sometimes see things that we can't see.
Oh, no
They're
doubt.
they're, they're seeing.
I've lived in my rent house. My cat used to sit there and like stare at the wall, and I'm like, man, don't do that. You're freaking me out. But yeah, some weird things would happen, and I've always believed that cats and dogs definitely pick up on stuff.
They see in a whole nother spectrum. They're seeing a whole nother reality or something than what we're seeing. You know what, David?
Yep. And there's one time Gizmo loves to go outside. I mean, there's nothing that will stop him, even if he's seen snakes out there and will attack them, and I'm afraid of that. Well, there was one time I took him out in the morning, and he wanted no part of it. I don't know what was out there, but the whole time I had to drag him, and I was like, okay, basically I can't force you. So we went back in the house, and he's never done that again. But I thought that was weird.
I wonder if it sounds to me like there was a predator. There was a predator
Yes.
around or something.
Yeah, well,
Like
that's why
he's.
I was thinking snake. But normally when
Mm-hmm.
there's the snakes around, he don't care. He'll go right after them and try to kill them. But
How often do you encounter snakes there, David?
oh, oh man, probably 50% of the time.
Fifty
50% of
percent
the
of the
time.
time.
Half the
And it,
time I go fishing, I'm going to see one, maybe even catch one, because what they do is they'll wait for you fishing and to catch a fish, and then they'll bite the fish.
well, ain't that something?
Yeah, and it sucks. It sucks because you have to, you know, let
Mm-hmm.
a fish go, and I feel bad because I caught this fish, and then now the snake killed it, and uh, yeah, they sit there and wait. They're little evil, little evil
Creepers.
water moccasins. Yeah, water moccasins and copperheads. There's what's bad here.
Have you had any close encounters with getting bit, or have you almost been bit?
I've never been bit, but I'll tell you one time, man, I stepped right across one. I mean, it was coiled up, and I was just walking, and by the time I looked and I had made the decision to step over it, I can't believe it didn't strike me. I can't believe it. It didn't do it, and man, my heart sank to my chest. I was just like, oh my god, that's the
You got
closest I've
lucky,
ever.
man.
I got really lucky, yeah. And this thing was huge. It looked like a rattler. It had the patterns of it of like a rattlesnake, and the big diamond shaped head. That's how you can tell they're poisonous. Is by the diamond shaped head, and the eyes will be slit long ways. That's
Mm.
poisonous. If they have just a beady eye with no slants, it's not poisonous.
David, have you ever thought about this? Cats have slit eyes like that.
Yes.
What is that? What is that all about? I mean,
I
that
don't know. I don't know.
you see the poisonous snakes with it, and you see the cats with it.
I don't know. Man, I've seen my cat's eyes go all kinds of crazy ways. from
my
colors
gosh.
to it's weird. It's weird. It makes me wonder what they see and what it looks like through their view. Just like that
Yeah.
picture of the slanted eyes of the cat man, like it's right there. Uh,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah, who knows, man? But you're right about the pets knowing. Definitely got a sixth sense on what's going on. Just like I think we do too, but they're on another level.
Oh yeah.
I tell you, Gizmo had no part of go. He had no part of wanting to go in that wood line where I take him for a walk. It's like he already knew something was out there and was like, "Nope, you're not taking me." I had to literally drag him if I was going to, and I wasn't about to do that. I just thought that was weird. He's never done that before in the 7 years we've had him.
Wow.
And that
Yeah,
was the
and
tree
that's
line.
something that,
That was the tree line where I get all the pictures from.
and you know
Down in
that
there.
you want to pay attention to that when your animals are acting funny like that. They'll let you know
Oh,
when
I
there's
did.
something around.
I was like, okay, let's go home then. You told me.
You know,
I did.
our cats will do that. They'll growl at things like in the window at night, or like our back window will be open, and they'll just be intently standing there staring out the window, like, yeah, I can see something out there, and it creeps you out because you know they're seeing it.
They,
They're
yeah,
seeing something.
my cat does that too, man. He can stare for hours, and I'm just thinking, man, what are you looking at?
Oh
But
yeah.
he's on the patio right now. He lives out there. He loves it.
Oh yeah.
I'll show you. Uh, Let me show you real quick how close the tree line is to our apartment.
Oh, this is going to be cool. This is going to be cool here. Oh
Right
wow,
there.
David.
This is how close. And then it dips down, and there's a creek that runs all the way across, and then opens up eventually to the Trinity River.
Oh wow. Do you do a lot
Yeah.
of fishing in that creek, David? Do you do a lot of fishing back in
Uh,
there?
yeah, I do actually. You can see them. Uh, you can see them just spotting them and catching them. Man, there's been some big ones, some nice 3 or 4 pounders in there I've caught.
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
And how wide is that? Is it very wide?
Uh, no, probably at some spots probably 15 feet,
15
and then
feet
some,
wide.
and then there's some spots that's skinnier and very shallow. I mean, you could where I'm at for a quarter of a mile, you could walk in that creek and it would be like up to your knees. And
Do you walk in the creek or do you walk
oh
along
no,
the edge of the bank?
oh no, I just do the edge of the bank. Too many snakes, man.
To Mr. No.
I've even seen these holes in the creek that the snakes will go in and out of. I've seen it, and I'm like, oh, it's just creepy.
Hmm.
You know, they're like little tunnels that they have in there, and yeah, no, you know, I actually see kids go in that creek and play with those snakes, and I'm like, man, y'all are crazy. There's a kid here across the street. He will actually go down there and catch these things. He's only like 12, 13 years old, and he'll go down there catching water moccasins like it's nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, I call him the.
No, no, thank you.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. He's a brave little kid, though. Yeah, but he knows exactly where to grab them and everything.
Oh yeah. Um. Well, David, you want to count this show? You want to call this show?
Sure.
We've been on for, let me see here. We've been on for an hour and 43 minutes so
I was going to
far.
say an hour, at least an hour and 40 minutes. Yeah, that's awesome. Man, time
So,
flies
oh yeah.
when we do these. I love it.
I do
And
too.
sorry y'all for jumping to different topic. I apologize about that, guys.
Well, that's we're just really practicing right now, and
Yeah.
once we get some structure to it, we'll do better. But I think
So,
they'll enjoy some of the stories that we talked about and some of the conversation.
oh yeah, and then we still got guests lined up too. It's just a matter of
Getting
talking
the
and
time to do
scheduling.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, scheduling it. Hmm.
I I really enjoy it listening to other people's stories, man. I love it. I just absolutely love it. There's
Me
a
too, brother.
lot of mystery out there, my friend.
There sure is.
Yep.
Sure is.
Well,
That's what actually the mystery in it is probably kind of what keeps us going, right?
Oh yeah. There's other shows out there to listen to. Old Bear's Den of Bigfoot, Vic Cundiff's Dogman Encounters.
Shout out Old Bear, yep.
Who else, David?
Kurt Stokes, Paul Chafin, Kentucky Dogman Project, Tom Cardos, North Carolina Cryptid and Paranormal Project. Shout out Tom. What's up, buddy? Marvin Allen and the Doug Pack. What's up, Doug?
It says Marvin Allen True Encounters with
Marvin Allen and the Doug Pack. Yeah,
with Marvin Allen and the Dog Pack.
What's up, Marvin? Vic has another Bigfoot. It's called My Bigfoot Sighting, and there's some great encounters on there. Mm-hmm. I just recently started getting into those, and man, let me tell you, there's some good ones. There's some gems in that.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll have to check into that. Mm-hmm. We've got How to Hunt with Steve Istall for people that like to read good books and different things like that. You got David Politis with the 411.
Steve has opened up a lot of people's eyes. Kudos to that man.
And I like how he is advocating for the underdog and the little guy.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And he's calling them out. He's calling them out for,
he speaks for a lot of people.
Yes, he does. Mm-hmm. Yes, he does. And who would have known it would be a guy from Canada that's an outfitter or that takes people out, a guide that would blow the whistle on the Bigfoot and bring the truth out to the forefront.
I mean, think about it. He's living the retired life and traveling, and he's doing all this to get this one message out to people. It's awesome. It really is.
He's something else, man.
He's making it his mission, and you can't help but
and he's making a difference too. You know what, David? He's making a difference.
Yes. Yep.
I love it.
Big difference.
I love it.
And it's gonna. You know what? It's not gonna stop them. It's not gonna stop us either. It's gonna. It's
just reinforce.
We're gonna have an army of believers and truth seekers. Mm-hmm. That's our mission.
Yeah.
Can't keep us all quiet.
Mm-mm.
We'll all start a show.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, why not? It's all about. I love it, man. I love the topics that we cover and the good conversation, because you just can't talk about this to everybody. They make fun of you,
right?
Especially if they're in the club, the drinking club.
Yep.
They never believe it anyway, but that's okay.
Yep. Oh, that's definitely.
We got our own club.
Yep.
And it's not a club soda.
No, sir. No club soda.
Awesome, David. Well, I think we're going to sign off here, everybody. We tried to do it again for you, so we'll catch you on the next episode. We'll keep you posted on where we go from here and who we'll have on. All right. Signing off, everybody.
Later. Bye, y'all.
Later. Bye-bye.